I'm leaving. Moving to Miami with my new girlfriend. She's 20 by the way. Oh, and I've emptied our joint account. Good luck with everything. Anna stared blankly at her phone screen, standing motionless behind the sleek counter of her boutique. Outside, golden sunlight filtered gently through the shop's windows, casting soft shadows on the carefully arranged designer scarves and handbags. Customers drifted past, completely unaware that just moments ago, her entire world had shattered into countless, irreparable pieces. She read the message once more, slowly absorbing every cruel word Brian had typed with such careless arrogance. It was cold, brief, almost mocking, as if 12 years of marriage could be dismissed with a casual swipe on a screen. Her heartbeat quickened slightly, her breath caught, but only for a second. Then Anna drew in a steady breath, forcing the pain back inside, hiding it expertly behind the warm smile she'd perfected after years in retail. Mrs. Adams. Anna's voice was calm, professional, betraying nothing of the turmoil inside her. Would you like to try this silk scarf? The color suits you beautifully. The customer smiled appreciatively, entirely unaware that the woman before her had just received, perhaps the cruelest goodbye imaginable. Anna carefully folded the scarf into the boutique's signature silver wrapping, her hands perfectly steady. But behind those composed movements, a storm brewed deep within her chest, a mixture of disbelief, anger, and an unyielding resolve. When the boutique door finally closed behind her last customer, Anna turned the key, locking herself inside the tranquil sanctuary she'd built entirely by herself. For a long moment, she stood in silence, letting the reality fully sink in. She'd always known deep down Brian had grown distant. Late nights at work, the sudden fixation on the gym, and those secretive smiles at his phone. But she had never imagined he could end things like this, so heartlessly, without a single ounce of remorse. 12 years of trust, commitment, shared dreams, gone, discarded in an instant. Yet strangely enough, amid the sting of betrayal, another feeling emerged. It was quiet at first, a mere whisper of rebellion that grew louder and stronger with each passing second. Brian expected tears, weakness, perhaps even pleading. He thought she'd collapse under the weight of his cruelty. But Brian didn't know her at all, not the real her. Beneath her gentle exterior was a woman who had weathered countless storms, always rising stronger, wiser, more determined. He had no idea how powerful Anna's quiet strength could be. She glanced down at her phone once more, carefully typing a short, emotionless reply. Good luck. And with that single message, Anna felt something shift profoundly inside herself. She realized in a moment of quiet clarity that Brian had unintentionally handed her something precious, a chance to reclaim her life on her own terms. His cruelty had ignited a fire within her, not a fire of vengeance, but of empowerment. As Anna moved purposefully through the boutique, straightening displays, touching each beautiful creation that represented her passion, she felt a fierce determination taking shape. Brian thought this was the end, but he was wrong. So very wrong. It was only the beginning. Anna smiled softly to herself, a subtle strength reflected clearly in her eyes. Her voice, quiet yet fierce, echoed gently through the empty boutique. Brian, if this is the game you want to play, then let me show you how a strong woman truly responds. As the quiet evening fell across the city, Anna sat alone in her home office, eyes fixed on the stack of carefully organized financial papers spread neatly across the desk. The silence of the empty house felt heavier than usual tonight, yet somehow comforting, as if reassuring her she was doing the right thing. The house had always been hers, inherited from her grandmother. Brian had never stopped urging her to add his name to the deed, but her intuition had stubbornly resisted. Now more than ever she understood why. Her phone buzzed softly, breaking the stillness. Anna glanced down, a text from Brian. Don't even think about begging. Emily and I leave tomorrow. I'll send someone later for my things. Anna shook her head. The audacity nearly made her laugh out loud. Instead, she took a calm sip of coffee, scrolling back through the months of messages she'd meticulously saved, each word another brick carefully laid for the confrontation that awaited him. She remembered vividly the first moment her suspicion was confirmed, months before this cruel message. A chilly December night, She'd been cleaning up after dinner when she discovered a crumpled dinner receipt from La Belle, an upscale French restaurant. Her heart tightened, recalling how casually Brian had lied that night. "Sorry, Anna. I've got another late meeting. Don't wait up." At the time, she'd said nothing, instead carefully folding the receipt and tucking it quietly into her purse. The very next morning, Anna found herself at the bank. She remembered clearly the conversation with the bank representative, a pleasant young man named James, who looked up curiously from his computer. "You'd like to open a separate personal account, Mrs. Collins?" "Yes," Anna had answered firmly, handing over the check containing her personal savings. "And please call me Anna." James smiled gently, sensing perhaps more than he said aloud. "Understood, Anna. Any reason for the new account today?" Anna hesitated briefly, then offered him a polite but meaningful smile. "Let's call it intuition." James nodded quietly, understanding enough not to ask more questions. Now alone in her office, Anna carefully reviewed every deposit, every withdrawal, every financial detail she'd tracked methodically since that day. Brian was so busy chasing youthful thrills and secret rendezvous, he hadn't even noticed the subtle shifts in their finances. The joint account he'd emptied earlier today contained precisely the amount she intended for him to find. Nothing more, nothing less. Her phone buzzed again. Anna sighed deeply as she read Brian's next message, even more condescending. "I know this must be hard for you. You're not exactly getting younger. At least you still have your little shop to keep you busy." Asterisk, my little shop. She whispered bitterly, her voice carrying a quiet defiance. The boutique had always been her pride, her refuge, her strength. It was hers alone, funded entirely through her hard work, late nights, and tireless dedication. She'd always kept it strictly separated from their shared finances. Another instinct now paying off. Quietly, Anna dialed a number saved months before. After a few rings, a familiar, professional voice answered confidently. "Margaret Gibson speaking." Anna exhaled calmly, her voice clear. "Margaret, it's Anna Collins. It's time. He's made his move." Margaret paused only briefly. "Understood. The papers have been ready since your last visit. Do you want him served immediately?" Anna paused, thoughtfully glancing at Brian's arrogant text messages. "No rush. Let him believe he's won, at least for tonight." Margaret chuckled softly, admiration clear in her tone. "Smart choice, Anna. I'll take care of everything first thing tomorrow." "Thank you, Margaret." Anna ended the call, feeling strangely empowered. Her lawyer's calm confidence reinforced her own. Brian might think he'd scored an easy victory, but Anna was holding a stronger hand, one he'd never anticipated. A moment later, her phone rang again. Anna glanced at the caller ID and sighed, hesitating before finally picking up. "Hello, Barbara," she said softly, recognizing her mother-in-law's anxious voice. "Anna, dear," Barbara began, voice trembling slightly. "Brian just called. He told me everything. He said you forced him into this, how controlling you've been. What's going on?" Anna closed her eyes briefly, keeping her voice steady and composed. "Did Brian also mention he emptied our joint account today, Barbara? Or perhaps how he charged plane tickets for himself and his new girlfriend on our shared credit card?" A long silence hung between them. I didn't know that," Barbara finally whispered, her tone shifting, uncertain now. "He said you'd grown cold, distant." Anna laughed gently without malice. "Barbara, I could forward you some of his texts if you'd like, especially the ones mocking my age or bragging about taking our money." Barbara's breath hitched audibly. "Anna, I had no idea he was capable of this." "Neither did I," Anna replied softly. "But here we are." Barbara hesitated before speaking again, regret heavy in her voice. "I'm sorry, Anna. Truly." Anna nodded to herself, her tone respectful but firm. "I appreciate your call, Barbara, but it's probably best we keep some distance for now. My lawyer advised minimal contact during the proceedings." "Proceedings already? Oh, Anna." "Goodbye, Barbara." Anna gently ended the call, placing her phone face down on the desk, a newfound clarity filling her chest. She rose slowly, walking toward the large bay window overlooking the quiet street. Evening shadows painted the sidewalks peaceful and serene. She wondered briefly where Brian was now. Perhaps celebrating, blissfully unaware of the storm quietly gathering against him. Anna smiled thoughtfully at her reflection in the window. The confident woman staring back hardly resembled the one who once doubted her own instincts. Brian believed he'd left her vulnerable, defenseless, but the opposite was true. His cruelty had only sharpened her senses, crystallizing her determination. "You underestimated me," she whispered softly to the empty house. "And that, Brian, was your biggest mistake." With quiet resolve, Anna returned to her desk, placing every document carefully into a thick leather-bound folder marked simply evidence. The battle lines were drawn clearly now. Brian thought this was the end, but Anna knew better. It was only just beginning. And this time, she would be the one controlling the narrative. Morning sunlight spilled through the sheer curtains, warming Anna's boutique with a comforting glow. But beneath her poised exterior, adrenaline hummed through her veins, sharpening her senses with a quiet intensity. She glanced at her phone. 3 missed calls, all from Brian. Her lips curved slightly. The first domino had fallen. Her assistant manager, Sophie, a bright-eyed young woman in her early 20s, entered the boutique, balancing a tray with 2 steaming lattes. "Morning, Anna. I got you something strong. I figured you might need it today." Sophie smiled knowingly. Anna took the latte gratefully, eyes twinkling softly. "How perceptive." "Thank you, Sophie." Before Anna could take a sip, her phone buzzed yet again. Sophie raised an eyebrow inquisitively, noticing the persistent vibrations. "Trouble?" Sophie asked gently, sensing tension beneath Anna's calm facade. Anna smiled lightly, her voice steady. "No, just a little unfinished business." She glanced at the screen and shook her head, amused by Brian's latest message. "What the hell did you do, Anna?" "Airline says our tickets are invalid. Hotel canceled too. Answer me." Sophie noticed the smirk on Anna's face. "Let me guess, Brian?" Anna sighed theatrically. "He seems rather upset that I canceled his first-class trip to Miami with the new girlfriend." Sophie's eyes widened, delightedly intrigued. "Wait, what? How did you?" Anna leaned back against the counter, voice soft yet brimming with a newfound confidence. "Turns out, booking romantic getaways with your mistress on your wife's credit card isn't exactly legal." "Who knew?" Sophie laughed incredulously impressed. "Wow. Remind me never to cross you." Anna chuckled softly, but the conversation was cut short by the sudden, sharp ring of the boutique's phone. "Anna Collins' boutique," Anna answered professionally, bracing herself as a familiar voice erupted through the receiver. "What kind of twisted game are you playing, Anna?" Brian's voice trembled with anger, his composure long gone. "Do you realize how humiliating it was, standing at the airport?" Anna calmly interrupted, voice cool and unwavering. "Humiliating? You mean like reading your husband's goodbye via text? Or realizing he drained the joint account? That kind of humiliating?" Brian hesitated briefly, struggling to regain control. "That was different. We grew apart, you knew it." Anna smiled bitterly, shaking her head slowly. "Brian, let's not pretend. You wanted a grand exit. But I'm afraid it won't be quite so easy." "You're making a mistake," Brian warned, desperation creeping into his voice. "I have records from your store, Anna. I can take half of everything." Anna felt a cold surge of determination rise in her chest. "My store? The little shop you mocked every chance you got? Good luck convincing anyone you invested even a single penny." Brian cursed softly, barely containing his frustration. "You'll regret this." Anna paused deliberately, her voice low and unwavering. "No, Brian. Regret is your burden now, not mine." She hung up calmly, turning back to Sophie, who was staring at her in awe. "Anna, that was brilliant." Anna exhaled softly, momentarily allowing vulnerability into her eyes. "Honestly, Sophie, I didn't expect it would feel this satisfying." Sophie placed a reassuring hand on Anna's shoulder. "You're doing what you have to, and he deserves every bit of this." Anna smiled gratefully, gathering her composure as the boutique's front door chimed, announcing a new customer. To her surprise, Sarah, Brian's younger sister, entered hesitantly, clutching her handbag tightly, eyes filled with uncertainty. Anna approached gently, cautious yet warm. "Sarah, didn't expect to see you today." Sarah bit her lip nervously, glancing down before finally meeting Anna's gaze. "Anna, I'm so sorry about Brian. Mom told me everything last night." We had no idea. Anna placed a reassuring hand on Sarah's arm, cutting her off gently. It's okay. You don't need to apologize for him. Sarah sighed heavily, visibly distressed. He painted you as controlling, bitter, impossible to please. But now I see. It was all manipulation. Anna nodded slowly, softening her tone. Brian is very good at convincing people of his innocence. Trust me, I learned that lesson too. Sarah shook her head sadly, eyes filled with genuine remorse. I'm ashamed I believed him. If there's anything I can do to help, just tell me. Anna smiled kindly, appreciating the sincerity. Just knowing that someone from his family sees the truth means more than you know. Sarah left quietly, but Anna noticed Sophie studying her thoughtfully. Anna, Sophie began hesitantly. Everyone seems to underestimate how strong you really are. Anna paused, letting the truth of Sophie's words settle. Sometimes, she replied softly. Even we underestimate our own strength until life forces us to use it. Just then, her phone buzzed once more. A text from her lawyer, Margaret. Papers served to Brian at the motel. His reaction was priceless. We'll talk soon. Anna felt an unexpected sense of relief, a quiet victory blooming inside her. Brian's arrogance, his cruelty, his misguided belief that she'd simply collapse without him. It had all become fuel for her determination. Her strength had always been there, patiently waiting beneath her gentle surface. Brian's betrayal hadn't destroyed her. It had set her free. The boutique began to fill with customers, drawn by the elegant displays and the radiant confidence of its owner. Anna smiled genuinely now, feeling her world aligning itself anew. Sophie leaned in, whispering playfully, "Ready for whatever comes next?" Anna nodded decisively, a quiet intensity lighting her eyes. More than ready. And in that instant, Anna knew exactly how her next chapter would unfold. One built from quiet dignity, unshakable resolve, and the exhilarating thrill of reclaiming her own story. Rain poured relentlessly against the courthouse windows, streaking the glass like tears streaming down a face. Inside, Anna sat composed and poised next to Margaret, her lawyer. Across the aisle, Brian shifted uncomfortably, desperately whispering to his newly hired, visibly flustered attorney. Anna's heart beat steadily, controlled, powerful. Today, Brian would finally understand what real strength looked like. The judge, a stern woman named Judge Meredith Carter, studied the papers in front of her carefully, then raised her gaze toward Brian, eyes sharp and assessing. "Mr. Collins," Judge Carter began coolly, "the documents clearly show that you intentionally withdrew all funds from a joint account without your wife's consent. Do you deny this?" Brian cleared his throat, attempting to appear remorseful. "Your Honor, I was just trying to make a clean break. Things between us were." The judge held up her hand, cutting him off sharply. "By committing financial misconduct?" Brian's jaw tightened visibly, voice strained. "I wouldn't call it misconduct exactly." Judge Carter raised an eyebrow, clearly unimpressed. "Then what exactly would you call emptying a joint account and using marital credit cards to fund an extravagant trip with your girlfriend?" A ripple of quiet murmurs echoed briefly through the courtroom. Brian's lawyer scrambled quickly, his voice thin and hurried. "Your Honor, my client admits he acted rashly. However, Mrs. Collins' retaliation was clearly calculated, perhaps even vindictive." Margaret calmly rose from her seat, voice clear and unwavering. "Calculated? Yes. Vindictive? Hardly. Mrs. Collins simply protected her separate assets and secured meticulous records when she realized her husband was betraying her financially and personally. That's not vindictive, it's prudent." Judge Carter nodded slightly, clearly leaning toward Margaret's perspective. "Mrs. Collins," she turned gently to Anna, "is there anything you wish to say?" Anna stood slowly, drawing a quiet breath. All eyes in the courtroom focused intensely upon her. "Your Honor," she began, her voice steady, graceful yet strong. "I built my boutique from nothing, long before Brian entered my life. I invested my own time, money, and passion. He never once contributed financially. In fact, he belittled my work consistently." She paused, feeling the quiet support radiating from Margaret at her side. "But the worst part," Anna continued calmly, turning slightly to face Brian directly, "was not the financial betrayal, nor the mocking of my dreams. It was his absolute disregard for my dignity and the cruelty he displayed in ending our marriage with a single heartless text message. Brian shifted uncomfortably, visibly angered yet helpless. Judge Carter watched Anna thoughtfully. I see. And the property? Margaret handed additional documents forward confidently. Your Honor, the house was inherited by Mrs. Collins solely from her grandmother and never transferred to joint ownership. Despite multiple pressures from Mr. Collins, it remains strictly separate. Brian's lawyer frantically interjected, desperation evident. But my client supported her morally throughout her business's growth. Moral support? Margaret interrupted calmly, pulling out printed screenshots, her voice razor-sharp. Your Honor, these are text messages from Mr. Collins repeatedly calling Mrs. Collins' successful business her little hobby, dismissing it and actively discouraging her ambitions. Is this the support he claims? The judge took the screenshots, eyes briefly scanning before pinning Brian with a stern gaze. Mr. Collins, it seems clear you've severely underestimated the law and your wife. Brian stammered, scrambling for excuses. I didn't mean. Judge Carter interrupted sharply. I've heard enough. She straightened firmly, her authoritative voice echoing through the courtroom. Given clear evidence of Mr. Collins' misconduct, all shared assets are immediately frozen pending the final divorce settlement. Mr. Collins, you have 24 hours to return the money removed from the joint account. Brian protested instantly, panic rising in his voice. Your Honor, that money is already spent. I don't have. The judge leaned forward sternly, eyes piercing. Then I strongly suggest you find a way to repay it. This court does not look favorably upon marital fraud, particularly when combined with blatant disrespect. As the judge's gavel echoed sharply, finality filled the courtroom. Anna's heart swelled silently in victory, a sense of justice deeply comforting. Yet looking toward Brian, whose arrogance was crumbling visibly, she felt no joy in his humiliation, only quiet resolve and dignity. Outside the courtroom, Brian approached Anna hurriedly, his pride shredded, voice low and trembling with anger. You've destroyed me, Anna. Do you even realize? Anna looked at him quietly, unwavering. You did this to yourself, Brian. All I did was make sure you couldn't destroy me too. Brian's mother, Barbara, stood anxiously nearby, clearly embarrassed. Brian, stop. Haven't you caused enough shame? Brian glared furiously, unable to find another retort. Finally defeated, he turned away, following his mother silently toward the exit, shoulders slumped under the heavy burden of consequences. Margaret gently placed a reassuring hand on Anna's shoulder. You were brilliant today. Not just legally, Anna, but personally. You reminded everyone that dignity and strength always prevail. Anna exhaled softly, gratitude filling her eyes. Thank you, Margaret. Truly. Margaret smiled warmly, eyes proud and supportive. This is only the beginning of a very bright chapter. Trust me. Anna stepped outside into the fresh air. The rain now transformed into a gentle drizzle. For the first time in years, she felt truly free, unshackled by Brian's manipulation, cruelty, or arrogance. He had thrown everything at her, expecting to break her. Yet here she stood, stronger than ever. Her phone vibrated softly. Anna checked the screen, a message from Sophie. The boutique is packed today. Customers keep coming in to show support. They're calling you an inspiration. Anna smiled warmly, touched. Brian had intended humiliation. Instead, he'd unwittingly launched her into empowerment, success, and genuine admiration. Quietly beneath her breath, Anna whispered confidently to herself, feeling hope bloom gently inside. You underestimated me, Brian. And now you'll watch me thrive. And as Anna walked steadily toward her car, each step resonating with purpose, she knew without a doubt the best part of her story was still ahead. In the weeks following the courtroom defeat, Brian spiraled rapidly into desperation, every frantic attempt to regain control backfiring spectacularly. News of his humiliation spread swiftly among family and friends, leaving him isolated and bitter. For Anna, however, life had begun anew, blossoming brighter than she'd ever imagined. One afternoon, as Anna reviewed inventory lists at her boutique, Sophie rushed inside, cheeks flushed with excitement. Anna, have you seen Emily's latest post? Anna paused, glancing up calmly. No. Should I? Sophie placed her phone down, showing a picture of Emily's Instagram page. Emily, once smiling victoriously on Brian's arm, now posted cryptic messages about toxic relationships, lessons learned, and newfound freedom. Anna raised an eyebrow, slightly amused. Interesting how quickly things change. Just then, the boutique door swung open urgently, revealing Sarah, Brian's sister, visibly distressed. Anna, I'm sorry to interrupt. It's Brian. He's gone completely off the rails. Anna frowned slightly, concern flickering momentarily despite herself. What happened? Sarah sighed heavily, embarrassed yet determined. Emily kicked him out after just 2 weeks. He moved back into our parents' house, started gambling online, and now he's mixed up in some ridiculous pyramid scheme. Anna shook her head slowly, unsurprised yet saddened by the depth of his self-destruction. I'm sorry you're dealing with this, Sarah. Sarah hesitated briefly before speaking gently. Anna, he blames you for everything. He keeps insisting you destroyed him on purpose. Anna's expression hardened subtly, eyes firm but compassionate. Brian destroyed himself, Sarah. All I did was refuse to let him destroy me along the way. Sarah nodded quietly, respect clear in her eyes. We know that now. Mom finally sees the truth too. She wishes she could take back all the awful things she said. Anna offered a gentle smile, understanding Sarah's sincerity. Tell your mom I hold no grudges. It's time for all of us to move forward. Just as Sarah left, Anna's phone rang again. It was Margaret, her lawyer, voice filled with restrained amusement. Brian just filed another appeal. Anna, trying again to claim half your boutique. The judge rejected it immediately and warned him about wasting court resources. Anna sighed softly, shaking her head with quiet disbelief. He's relentless. He's desperate, Margaret corrected gently. People like Brian never expect consequences, and when they come, they don't know how to handle them. Anna thanked Margaret and hung up, feeling not victorious, but a calm satisfaction. She'd protected herself, her dignity, and her dreams. Brian's collapse, painful as it was his alone. That evening, after the boutique had closed, Anna lingered to arrange the new season's collection. A soft knock interrupted her focus. Surprised, she looked up and saw Emily standing nervously outside the glass door. Anna opened the door carefully, meeting Emily's hesitant gaze. Can I help you? Emily bit her lip anxiously, eyes full of regret. I owe you an apology, Anna. I believed every word Brian said, that you were controlling, jealous, cold-hearted. Anna folded her arms gently, watching Emily with quiet patience. And now? Emily sighed, voice trembling slightly. I see clearly now. Everything Brian told me about you, he ended up doing to me. He lied, manipulated, blamed everyone else for his problems. And when reality hit, he expected me to clean up his mess. Anna nodded thoughtfully, compassion emerging quietly in her eyes. Brian confuses his escapes for dreams, but running away never solves anything. Emily nodded sadly, her voice softer now. I know. He always talked about how things would magically improve, if only his investments paid off, or when that promotion came. But none of it was real. Anna gently offered. He wanted quick victories, not lasting commitments. Emily looked genuinely humbled, voice sincere. Anna, I'm sorry for everything. You didn't deserve any of this. Anna's expression softened further, a gentle smile forming. Thank you, Emily. Honestly, you coming here took courage, and that means something. Emily smiled faintly, relieved. I've started over, found someone my own age. We're building something real, even if it's small. I learned a lot from you. Anna nodded warmly, kindness radiating softly. Then everything happened exactly as it should. Emily left quietly, leaving Anna standing alone, reflecting deeply. Brian's cruelty had initially seemed devastating, but in the end, it had created opportunities for growth, forgiveness, and strength. Her phone buzzed softly, interrupting her thoughts. A message from Sophie, cheerful as always. Good news, Anna. Local magazines want to feature your boutique's story, not about the divorce, but your success. You're officially an inspiration. Anna laughed softly, warmth spreading gently inside her chest. Brian had once belittled her passion as insignificant, yet now it stood proudly as a beacon of empowerment. Stepping outside into the cool evening, Anna breathed deeply, feeling freer than ever. Her strength, tested and tempered, now radiated outward, illuminating the path ahead. Brian's mistakes were his to bear. Her victory was embracing the woman she'd become. Quietly, she whispered to herself in peaceful certainty, "He tried to break me, but instead he built me." And as Anna walked toward home, each step carried a quiet confidence, preparing her for the future. A future Brian could never touch or tarnish again. In the weeks following the courtroom defeat, Brian spiraled rapidly into desperation, every frantic attempt to regain control backfiring spectacularly. News of his humiliation spread swiftly among family and friends, leaving him isolated and bitter. For Anna, however, life had begun anew, blossoming brighter than she'd ever imagined. One afternoon, as Anna reviewed inventory lists at her boutique, Sophie rushed inside, cheeks flushed with excitement. "Anna, have you seen Emily's latest post?" Anna paused, glancing up calmly. "No. Should I?" Sophie placed her phone down, showing a picture of Emily's Instagram page. Emily, once smiling victoriously on Brian's arm, now posted cryptic messages about toxic relationships, lessons learned, and newfound freedom. Anna raised an eyebrow, slightly amused. Interesting how quickly things change. Just then, the boutique door swung open urgently, revealing Sarah, Brian's sister, visibly distressed. "Anna, I'm sorry to interrupt. It's Brian. He's gone completely off the rails." Anna frowned slightly, concern flickering momentarily despite herself. "What happened?" Sarah sighed heavily, embarrassed yet determined. "Emily kicked him out after just 2 weeks. He moved back into our parents' house, started gambling online, and now he's mixed up in some ridiculous pyramid scheme." Anna shook her head slowly, unsurprised yet saddened by the depth of his self-destruction. "I'm sorry you're dealing with this, Sarah." Sarah hesitated briefly before speaking gently. "Anna, he blames you for everything. He keeps insisting you destroyed him on purpose." Anna's expression hardened subtly, eyes firm but compassionate. "Brian destroyed himself, Sarah. All I did was refuse to let him destroy me along the way." Sarah nodded quietly, respect clear in her eyes. "We know that now. Mom finally sees the truth too. She wishes she could take back all the awful things she said." Anna offered a gentle smile, understanding Sarah's sincerity. "Tell your mom I hold no grudges. It's time for all of us to move forward." Just as Sarah left, Anna's phone rang again. It was Margaret, her lawyer, voice filled with restrained amusement. "Brian just filed another appeal, Anna, trying again to claim half your boutique. The judge rejected it immediately and warned him about wasting court resources." Anna sighed softly, shaking her head with quiet disbelief. "He's relentless. He's desperate," Margaret corrected gently. "People like Brian never expect consequences, and when they come, they don't know how to handle them." Anna thanked Margaret and hung up, feeling not victorious but a calm satisfaction. She'd protected herself, her dignity, and her dreams. Brian's collapse, painful as it was his alone. That evening, after the boutique had closed, Anna lingered to arrange the new season's collection. A soft knock interrupted her focus. Surprised, she looked up and saw Emily standing nervously outside the glass door. Anna opened the door carefully, meeting Emily's hesitant gaze. "Can I help you?" Emily bit her lip anxiously, eyes full of regret. "I owe you an apology, Anna. I believed every word Brian said. That you were controlling, jealous, cold-hearted." Anna folded her arms gently, watching Emily with quiet patience. "And now," Emily sighed, voice trembling slightly, "I see clearly now. Everything Brian told me about you, he ended up doing to me. He lied, manipulated, blamed everyone else for his problems. And when reality hit, he expected me to clean up his mess." Anna nodded thoughtfully, compassion emerging quietly in her eyes. "Brian confuses his escapes for dreams, but running away never solves anything." Emily nodded sadly, her voice softer now. "I know. He always talked about how things would magically improve, if only his investments paid off, or when that promotion came. But none of it was real." Anna gently offered. "He wanted quick victories, not lasting commitments." Emily looked genuinely humbled, voice sincere. "Anna, I'm sorry for everything. You didn't deserve any of this." Anna's expression softened further, a gentle smile forming. "Thank you, Emily. Honestly, You coming here took courage. And that means something. Emily smiled faintly relieved. I've started over, found someone my own age. We're building something real, even if it's small. I learned a lot from you. Anna nodded warmly, kindness radiating softly. Then everything happened exactly as it should. Emily left quietly, leaving Anna standing alone, reflecting deeply. Brian's cruelty had initially seemed devastating, but in the end, it had created opportunities for growth, forgiveness, and strength. Her phone buzzed softly, interrupting her thoughts. A message from Sophie, cheerful as always. Good news, Anna. Local magazines want to feature your boutique story. Not about the divorce, but your success. You're officially an inspiration. Anna laughed softly, warmth spreading gently inside her chest. Brian had once belittled her passion as insignificant, yet now it stood proudly as a beacon of empowerment. Stepping outside into the cool evening, Anna breathed deeply, feeling freer than ever. Her strength, tested and tempered, now radiated outward, illuminating the path ahead. Brian's mistakes were his to bear. Her victory was embracing the woman she'd become. Quietly, she whispered to herself in peaceful certainty. He tried to break me, but instead he built me. And as Anna walked toward home, each step carried a quiet confidence, preparing her for the future. A future Brian could never touch or tarnish again. 5 years later, on a cool, vibrant autumn evening, Anna stood confidently before an eager crowd gathered at the grand opening of her 5th boutique location. Warm lights cast a soft glow, illuminating smiles and champagne glasses lifted in joyful celebration. Her journey from heartbreak to empowerment had become more than just a personal triumph. It had grown into an inspiring movement. As Anna stepped forward to speak, her eyes traveled across faces she recognized. Margaret, proudly raising a toast from the corner. Sophie, now managing the newest branch. Sarah, Brian's sister, who had become one of her closest allies. And even Emily, who smiled warmly, successful and radiant in her own right. Anna cleared her throat softly, voice calm yet powerful, resonating clearly through the room. 5 years ago, my life changed forever with a single text message. It was cruel, cold, and intended to break me. The room went silent, captivated. Instead, that moment became the foundation for everything I am today. It taught me strength isn't born from easy victories. It grows from adversity, courage, and the willingness to rise again, no matter how deep the pain. Eyes shimmered with emotion, hearts connecting deeply with her story. Tonight, I stand here because one person's cruelty awakened a strength in me I didn't even know existed. Brian once dismissed my boutique as my little hobby, something small to distract me in my old age. But here we are 5 successful locations later. Warm laughter filled the room, pride radiating brightly. But the real victory, Anna continued, voice softer yet filled with conviction, isn't just business success or financial independence. It's realizing your worth can never be determined by someone else's opinion. It's knowing that your dignity, resilience, and self-respect are far stronger than cruelty, betrayal, or manipulation could ever be. She paused briefly, glancing toward the wall behind her where a single frame hung. Brian's infamous text message, preserved clearly beneath a simple plaque. I'm leaving. Emptied the account. Good luck. Beneath it, another plaque read in bold letters. Thank you for underestimating me. The audience's applause erupted spontaneously, powerful, passionate, moved by her courage. As the evening continued, Anna moved gracefully through the crowd, exchanging smiles, encouragement, and genuine connection. Near closing, an older woman gently approached, eyes shining with unshed tears. Anna, you don't know me, but your story saved my life, the woman began softly. After my own painful divorce, I nearly gave up, but then I heard about you. You made me realize strength comes from within, not from anyone else. Anna reached out gently, embracing the woman warmly. Your story matters just as much as mine. Keep going, you're stronger than you believe. Later, as the boutique emptied, Anna stood alone, savoring the gentle stillness. Her phone vibrated softly, surprising her. A single text message from an unknown number. She opened it curiously, heart momentarily tightening when she read. Congratulations, Anna. I saw the news. You've done amazing things. I hope someday you can forgive the man who wasn't strong enough to love you properly. Anna exhaled slowly, recognizing Brian's voice clearly in those words. After a long pause, she typed a simple yet powerful reply. I forgave you long ago, Brian. Now, I hope you forgive yourself. She set the phone down, closing her eyes briefly, peace gently filling her heart. The woman Brian had underestimated 5 years earlier had become someone entirely new, empowered, compassionate, resilient. Stepping toward the front window, Anna caught her reflection clearly beneath the boutique lights. A woman vibrant with life, wise with experience, and proud of the scars that proved her strength. Quietly, she whispered, voice steady and certain, reconnecting profoundly to the very first night when her world had changed forever. You thought you ended my story that night, Brian, but instead, you simply set it free. And with those words, Anna stepped forward confidently, leaving behind past shadows and moving gracefully toward the limitless possibilities of her future.